All right, let's jump right in, because something big is brewing in the crypto market. The charts are flashing a signal you don't see very often, and historically, it means some major volatility is just around the corner. So, what's really going on here?
And yeah, that pretty much sums it up perfectly. What we're seeing suggests the market is at this huge tipping point. After things have been kind of quiet, the pressure is really building up. The big question now is, which way is it going to break? The stakes couldn't be higher.
So where is all this tension coming from? Well, to really get a handle on this coiled spring idea, you first have to understand the main dynamic of the whole market. It's this constant push and pull between the big one, Bitcoin, and, well, everything else, the altcoins.
Think of it like a giant tug of war. On one side, you've got money flowing into Bitcoin, which is usually seen as the safer bet. But on the other side, you've got cash moving into altcoins, which tells you people are willing to take on more risk. For weeks now, these two sides have been locked in a stalemate, but all the signs are pointing to that balance finally breaking.
And this right here is the heart of it. The whole altcoin market is coiling up like a spring. See, prices are bouncing around in a tighter and tighter range, a pattern we call consolidation. And what that usually means is that a massive amount of energy is building up, and sooner or later it has to be released. The question on every trader's mind is, which way is that spring going to launch?
But you know, these patterns don't just happen in a vacuum. They're driven by what the biggest players in the game are doing. So if we want to get a clue about where this is all heading, we need to follow the smart money.
And when we talk about smart money, we're usually talking about whales. And no, these aren't some mythical sea creatures. They're just people or institutions with so much crypto that their moves alone can shift the entire market. That's why watching what they do is so incredibly important.
So, what are the whales up to? Well, if you look at the public blockchain data, what we call on-chain data, you get two massive clues. First, a lot more money is being moved onto exchanges, like it's getting ready to be used. And second, we can actually see that big whale wallets are buying up assets. They're accumulating, not selling. They are absolutely getting ready for something.
Which, of course, brings us to the million-dollar question, right? If the biggest, and you'd assume most informed, players are loading their bags and getting their capital ready, what do they see on the horizon? What in the world are they preparing for?
To answer that, we've got to zoom out from the crypto charts for a second and look at the bigger picture. Every coiled spring needs something to trigger it, and that trigger is probably going to come from some major events happening in the broader economy.
And here are the two big ones everyone is watching. First, any decision from the US Federal Reserve about interest rates. That stuff has a huge ripple effect on how much risk investors are willing to take. And second, the amount of cash flowing into those new Bitcoin ETFs. A big surge of institutional money coming through those could absolutely be the spark that lights this fuse.
Okay, so we've looked at the tension, we've followed the smart money, and we've spotted the potential triggers. That's the what and the why. But now for the most important question of all. What does this mean for you? How can you get ready to handle the kind of volatility that seems to be coming?
The game plan really boils down to three simple actions. First, watch. Don't just stare at the overall market. Look for specific altcoins that have strong fundamentals, the ones that are holding up well during this quiet time. Second, prepare. Get yourself ready, both mentally and financially, for some much bigger price swings. And third, maybe the most important, avoid over-leveraging. Using borrowed money is the fastest way to get wrecked in a volatile market because it magnifies your losses just as much as your wins. And this, right here, is the key takeaway for your strategy. This isn't about making some wild, panicked prediction. It's about seeing the signals, understanding what could happen, and having a solid plan so you can act with your head, not with your emotions.
So there you have it. All the evidence is pointing to the market building up a ton of pressure. Whether it blows up into a massive pump or a steep crash, it really feels like this quiet period is about to end. The best thing you can do right now is just stay alert.